Welcome to Shift Delirium, a podcast about junior doctors and the world that surrounds them. Today's episode is called The Journey. We're focusing on the story of Dorothy, another junior doctor here in England, and her journey into medicine. Welcome to our shift.
Hey.
So today, should we just introduce ourselves?
Yep, let's go.
All right, so I'm Victoria. I'm a junior doctor in England.
And I'm Dorothy, Dr. Dot, also a senior house officer in England as well, I guess.
So we were thinking, we're on call right now, a night shift actually, and we're thinking about our journeys, how we've gotten here. We both have very interesting stories, and I think we'll share a little bit about it with you all. Do you want to start, Dot?
Okay, so where do I begin? I think I've always wanted to be a doctor. I've always wanted to be a doctor since I was a child. It was just, I say it was just. So my father is a doctor. So I guess once you have that kind of image or role in the house, it's something that you're more accustomed to than maybe other people. So he definitely had an influence on me becoming a doctor. So I always wanted to be a doctor. I was really good at art, and I was a good student, but I guess my strongest points were the arts, actually. So acting, I was just a very studious, goody two-shoes kind of student. So then I got to secondary school, and I remember being in year 8. I don't know what you call that in the States.
Is that like 8th grade or?
So it's the second year of high school, I guess, you guys.
Second year of high school? 10th grade? Sophomore?
No, okay, too far.
It's junior college.
When you're about 13.
Yeah, that's like 8th grade for us.
Okay, so I was in year 8, and I had this teacher, Mrs. Gopal. Thank you, Mrs. Gopal, wherever you are. She was just a fantastic science teacher, and she was teaching us about the digestive system, and I was obsessed. And I think we had an end of topic test, and I got the highest. I just loved it.
Killing them.
And I was just like, I want to be a doctor. I just want to be a doctor. So everyone who knows me, even people that I went to primary school with, when they see me now as a doctor, they're like, you've always wanted to be a doctor. Because I've always worked so hard to make sure my science grades are good. So go through secondary school, did quite well with my GCSEs. Don't know what you guys call GCSEs.
We don't really have any, there's not. So just explain what GCSEs are.
So GCSEs are what the exams that we take in England in the last year of secondary school. So that's secondary school is 11 to 16, and GCSEs you take them at age 15.
Oh my God.
Age 15 or 16, yeah.
That is stress.
Yeah, and it's, to be honest, if I can get the rigor and the determination and discipline I had for my GCSEs, my life will be much better.
And just to clarify, GCSEs, once you take that exam, that's like what determines your path, sort of.
To be fair, when I mentor people, I say your GCSEs are so important. So GCSE stands for General Certificate of Secondary Education. They're so important. So to get into medical school, they'll look at your GCSEs. To get into some Russell Group universities, they will look at your GCSEs. So your GCSEs are your big major exams before college, and which will determine the courses you get onto college, and which then go on to determine what you can do at university. So your GCSEs...
Because college is not university.
No.
College is like a specialized...
It's an in-between secondary school and university. So primary school, secondary school, college, university is the pattern. And from whenever we talk about university here, so that's what we define as higher education here. So I did my GCSEs, I smashed them. I worked so hard for them. I remember I was actually struggling in science. And that's why I believe, actually, if you put your mind to anything, and if you're determined, and I'm a Christian, by the way, and there's a scripture that always comes to me that where there is no vision, the people perish. And because I'd always had that vision that I'm going to be a doctor, I worked hard. So even when I wasn't doing well, I remember, because you'll see, I like to talk. So even in my answers, I used to talk too much. So my exam technique wasn't good. And anyone would tell you, here anyway in the UK, English exams are all about exam technique. And my exam technique was really poor. And I had this amazing teacher. Again, a shout out to all my teachers, Mr. Wignall. Now, Mr. Wignall, wherever you are, I hope you quit smoking. Because I really...
Can I say that is also the most British name?
He
Mr.
is a
Wignall.
Yorkshireman. And, he took a real liking to my best friend and I, because we were really serious and we wanted to do well. And he knew we wanted to do well. He had no time for the rest of the people in the class, because they were just messing about. But my best friend Jade, shout out to my best friend Jade, who's head of biology at Campion School now.
Come through.
Oh, yes, honey. And she's a triathlete and she's one of the best swimmers in the county.
All right.
Okay. We were very serious. And I remember he would sit down with me and he would say, look, this is how this person's answering a question. You know it. I know you know it because you listen. You answer my questions. I've taught to you myself. Like, you sometimes used to take Jade and I and just teach us because we were the only ones that would listen.
Oh, my God.
He said, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes, literally, Jade and I, again, going back to the Bible, iron sharpens iron. We both had a vision for our lives. We both knew what we wanted to be, and we stuck with it together. We did everything together down. Even now, till now, we're always pushing one another. And he said, I know you can do it, Dorothy, but this is the way you're answering your question. So he really invested time into me. Then I had a tutor. My parents invested time into me. God bless Naomi. God bless Mr. Olu. So many people are part of my journey, and they really encouraged me. Naomi taught me how to study, so she really pushed me, and I was getting C's in these end of block tests, and I ended up getting A stars for my science, and I think I was like one of the few people, if not the only person, I got an A star in my class.
And A star is the top.
A star is the highest grade for science, and it was so humbling. But I know there were so many people along that route. But again, when you have a vision, you work for it. I was going to the library. God bless my dad. There was one time, gosh, I have so many memories. There was one time I was gallivanting around West London, and we had this test, this preliminary test that would contribute to our final mark, but we had a mock one and I flopped it. I got a C or something. So then I put the exam date on my board, and then so my dad walks to my room and he said, when is this exam? And I said, oh, it's not for a couple of weeks or not for a couple of months, I can't remember. I said, and you are going around West End when there's exam. Do you think A comes from the sky? Do you think this? He goes, what did you get in the mock? And I hadn't told them, so I had to tell him. I cried so much that day, but it was the conversation that changed my life, because it was really made me realize that you cannot waste your grades, that you cannot cheat hard work. So from then on, I started going to the library. So then I did really well in my GCSEs. My mum wanted me to go to a certain college, which was, that you still have to wear uniform. It's very strict, very school-like. But me, I wanted to go and turn up. I wanted to go to the college where everybody's having fun and
baby
girl for life. No uniform. So I kind of, so I got admission into one of the schools, but then they took one of my subjects away. So I kind of used the excuse, oh no, I want to do this subject. I really want to do this subject. So let me go to this college. And what you have to remember is that I came to Essex when there were hardly any black people. So we were the first influx of black people into Essex from inner London.
And can we just say, so Essex is it like a district or
Essex
a
is
region?
County. So Essex is probably the second biggest county in the UK.
Okay.
So
and it's right outside of London.
Yeah, so it's defined as Greater London, but then so where I live is Greater London, but it's still defined as Essex. Complicated.
So for people in the States, I think it's most similar to so London being any big city, and then Essex sort of loosely saying it's kind of like the suburbs outside of it.
Yes.
Not everyone
so would
has
you say,
go ahead.
Would you say New Jersey?
Yeah.
New York,
yeah. I think that's fair. I think, or even looking Atlanta, where someone is 45 minutes away from Atlanta, but they're they're from Atlanta.
Yes.
And people outside wouldn't know, but if you're from the area, you're nah, that's definitely not Atlanta.
Exactly.
'Cause definitely, I know people already in my short time here who are yeah, I'm from London, and you're where? And then they say it, and then someone else usually, because I still don't know cities, but someone else is nah, that's Essex. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
It's that kind of vibe.
So that kind of vibe. So
and it's not very diverse to me. I mean, I think now I see more.
If you think it's not diverse now, my goodness.
Imagine.
I was the
imagine.
only black girl in school. I was the only in my primary school until one of my other best friends, Julie, joined the school. And then in secondary school as well, I was one of few black girls, which for me was never a problem because I think my parents really raised us to be incredibly confident. I personally didn't experience racism. In fact, I was loved. I will not try and pull any racism accusations. I was loved in secondary school. My teachers loved me. My friends loved me. I still have my core best friends. Shout out to Misha. Shout out to Julie, who are still my best friends from primary school. And same with secondary school. I was a head girl at school.
Okay.
I was a head girl and my teachers loved me. I mean, the dinner ladies gave me, not for anything, they said they just gave me free food because I was just like, we just love you. Like, you're just the most polite girl. I don't know where they got that from, but so I never
know you are super sweet. Don't even.
Okay. I mean, I can try. But no, I never really experienced
racism.
Yeah, so kind of I don't know where I got onto that point, but going to college, this is where I got to the point. The college was more diverse. You would see the college kids on the bus and you're like, oh, college was more diverse. So I really wanted to experience that because I had moved from Essex. I'd moved from a very diverse area to Essex, so I kind of wanted to experience that. So I went to college, and because I'd done so well in my GCSEs, they wanted me to do an extra A-level. So normally you do 4 AS levels. So then you divide it into AS, which was half of the A-level, and then the 4 A2 level. So they made me do 5 and made me do maths, and I really didn't want to do maths. She goes, no, I'm sure you can cope with it. Looking back, do I regret doing it? Maybe, because I don't know if I concentrated on 4, whether I would have done better. So I ended up doing 5. I did okay. And at the same time, I became college council chairperson. So, I became college council chairperson. I started a choir with some of my friends. It was called One Touch. We started a choir. We were doing rehearsals every Wednesdays, and we were doing like ministrations. That's what I like to call them.
Now, what kind of songs were you doing? Gospel?
It was a gospel choir,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So it was a gospel choir, and I was also involved in another choir by the large Nigerian denomination, Redeemed Christian Church of God. So they had the youth choir and NX Gen. So I was involved in lots of things outside of college, and I had a lot of friends. So my mom was already seeing that.
You with a lot of friends.
No, anyway. I got my A levels. I wasn't too AS levels. I mean, I think it was 2 A's and 3 B's, and I think
is AS level?
AS levels. So it was the half
after.
one.
Oh,
so
okay.
then you apply. So when I applied to medical school, I high flyer, aim for the top. I applied to, the top ones, Imperial, UCL. Oh. Did I get in? No. So medicine, very competitive. So I applied to the most competitive universities. So I didn't get.
So that's like saying, like when you're applying in medical school in America, it's like I'm going to Harvard,
Yale, Princeton, and
Hopkins,
Stanford.
all
Penn.
of those ones.
Yeah, basically. Which is not a problem.
No.
Which is not a problem. My younger sister is now at Imperial. It's not a problem, but I wasn't prepared enough for them. At the time, exactly. So I was not prepared enough for them. So I didn't get in, and then I focused on my A-levels. Then I really struggled with chemistry.
Oof,
I
child,
really struggled
don't
with
worry.
chemistry. And do you know what?
When I get to my testimony, girl.
I actually preferred chemistry to biology, but I struggled with chemistry in my second year. So anyway, A-levels come out and I don't do as well as I want to again. So because even though I hadn't got in, if I had the grades, I could just apply, take a gap year and not have to redo my A-levels and whatever. So then I had to take a gap year. God being God, my college gave me a job. They created a role for me. They created a role. They made me student ambassador coordinator.
Oh my gosh,
they
that's
created
amazing.
a role for me, So, and then I worked with my dad at his surgery. So
surgery is not surgery, what we call it. It's just like clinic.
Yes, clinic. So he's GP practice. My dad, in America, they call it family medicine.
Yeah.
But my father was a general practitioner and had a practice in East London. And I've been working with him most summers. So this time I was working for him full time and actually getting paid.
Hello.
I was working for him for free for once. So that was really nice. So I was working for him. I was working for the college. I was making money. I was enjoying myself. But then I was also resitting my A-levels Yes, I resitted my A-levels. And you know the funny thing is that one of my A-levels, I was 1 mark off an A. 1 mark off an A. And that would have changed everything. If I'd got that 1 A, I could have applied without resitting. God has a way of doing things, and you just have to believe in his plan. Then I did not. I was just thinking, why am I going through this? But whatever, had my chin up, and I was thanking God for the opportunity. You know, I had 2 jobs, really good jobs. And I was resitting my A-levels. So resit them, get into medical school, but then miss my grades again.
Oh my God.
And I just think, wow, okay.
Let's take a quick break. Reflection. October. One of my patients, the sweetest lady ever, who I've been taking care of for about 3 weeks, showed me a picture that her daughter brought in. Apparently back in the day, Mamacita used to have a nice afro. Well, like big curls, lots of hair. She's pointing to my hair and telling me that it looks just like hers when it was growing up. I think part of this is very much so based on the fact that we've grown quite fond of one another. Although she's definitely an Irish woman, and I am very much so an African woman. Nevertheless, it's very sweet, and I hope that she's doing well now that she's been discharged.
Right, okay. I tell you one thing. My dad used to always taught me this thing. He said, success is the ability to overcome failure. He said, there is no success without failure. If you're experiencing success and you've not had the time when you've slipped up, it's waiting for you, because that's the only time you learn.
Girl.
We don't learn from success. We learn from when we make mistakes. So, I got into University of Liverpool for medicine. So I ended up doing the undergrad course, which was biological and medical sciences then. So I went to Liverpool. I was devastated when I went to Liverpool. I was living opposite the medical school. I was seeing people go to medical school. I was devastated. I would cry. I was just so upset, all the time. And I believe that there are so many positive affirmations. And, when I speak positively to people, they think I'm just gassing. I believe what you put in the atmosphere is what you can get back. And I never forget one of my teachers, or I would say tutors. She never taught me. She was actually the woman that employed me, but she was one of the assistant heads of the college, because they found out my results the day before, and they were really rooting for me. They're the ones that had done my reference. That the principal's never done a reference to someone. He was not even on the system. He offered to do my reference for me. They were behind me, but they knew how much it would hurt me. And I sat there in the office with them that morning, and I was crying. And they were just saying, Dorothy, do you know what? You will become a doctor. They just spoke into me. It doesn't matter how long, but you will become a doctor. Then you're not believing it. But my parents had the same resolve. They were like, you're going to even to us, you're doing medicine. You're just going the long way. They never even said you're doing biomedical sciences. You're doing medicine, because that's what you're doing. You're doing medicine. So then I went to Liverpool. And, when I got to Liverpool, number one, I am a London girl. So I was thinking, what am I doing here? All my friends went to university in London, and I was up north. I was like, what am I doing here? So God again used amazing people. Shout out to my girl Naki. I met my friend Naki. She was doing biological and medical sciences as well, but she was the year above me. Well, even though I've taken a gap year, she was a year above me. And we just bumped into each other in the library. Now, when I say I'm a London girl, right? I go to university, and most of the black people at university are from they're from Nigeria. Or they're not from London. So I was thinking, where did all these Nigerians come from? But this Naki was actually a Ghanaian girl, and she was and I just saw her in the first thing you think about when you move out of London is, how am I going to do my hair? So I see Naki in the bookstore, and I walk up to her and I said, I really like your hair. And she's like, oh, are you one of the new, are you one of the freshers, or what they like to say? You know, is it what you call freshmen in the States? And then we just started talking, and then, you know, she would always say hello to me and stuff like that. And then she invited me around hers, and then I met some of the other girls, and, you know, I was not happy when I got to Liverpool. And to be fair, like I said, I always tend to have a lot of friends. I didn't even want that. I just said, I just want to focus. I want to get this degree out of the way. I just want to get into medical school. I'm not here to make friends, you know. Dot makes friends in 2 days.
Day 2, most popular girl.
So, you know, they became such a core friendship for me. You know, we would pray together. I would stay over at their house. They made my time enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, they're some of my closest friends till today. And we would pray together. We would gist together. We would gossip together. And we were all so driven. So, for example, my friend Naki, she ended up going to Oxford to do embryology. My friend Elsie went to Georgetown to do public health. My friend Ijem, she works for Shell in Nigeria. So, you know, very driven girls, very beautiful girls. And it was, God just used them to allow me to say, you're here now. And while you're here, I'm going to look after you. And so, you know, I there was still a lot of pain, but I was driven. Again, going back to that scripture, where there is no vision, the people perish. And my vision was very clear. I'm getting into medical school.
So we had to take another break because, well, we had to work. And when we came back, we were joined by one of our colleagues. There's a little bit of an intermission before we get back to the story. Okay, we're back, and we're joined by another one of our colleagues, Mahnor. She's another junior doctor in our hospital.
I love the way you say her name. You say it so correctly. I just call her Mahnor.
I try, because we used to be on-call buddies, and she always was telling people how to pronounce her name.
Mahnor.
And I did my best.
And I must say, you do an incredible job at it.
Oh, thanks, boo.
That's Vic, though. I think she's very intentional. Yeah, she wouldn't just say, oh, I can't bother to learn that person's name. I've learned that from you. There we go. There's a bleep, as usual. Killing the vibe.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
I forgot we have to do a job. By the way, I am absolutely obsessed with this idea of a podcast.
I'm obsessed with it.
Obviously, I like fantasize and dream about it, and I listen to endless podcasts, and I'm like, mate, me and my friends' conversations are so much more interesting.
Honey, like...
There's no signal here. I have to call from a real phone. Guys, I'm such a vibe killer.
And
okay, Mahnor has gone on.
Guests in. Yeah. I was talking to my friend yesterday, and we were just talking about character types and the kind of character that I have, and she was saying, you know, and she said, you have a gift, and like the world is for the world, it's for people, like you're people. And like, as I was talking, all I was thinking was the person that could use my story to work that little bit harder, to not give up. Like, that's literally all I'm thinking.
Oh, absolutely.
That's literally I'm thinking. I tell you now, I am not even lying. I was going to text you earlier. Are you working tonight? I swear. That's so crazy. I was just too busy watching this romantic film with my mum. I swear I was going to text you like, Vic, are you working tonight? When I saw it, I was like, this is insane.
Okay, wait.
By the way, sorry, can you imagine how much more insane it was for me that I come to this one random night shift that I'm doing pre my ITU nights, and I see the best squad turn up.
This is the best squad.
I literally looked in, I was so anxious. I was like, oh, I've never done like I haven't done a medical night in so long. And then I see an absolute support system.
Yeah.
Oh, girl. It's a COVID hug.
So you guys can't see, but we're doing COVID hugs. We're sitting.
We are doing COVID hugs.
we're sitting next to each other, but not touching.
Do you know the beauty of it? I'm the Brit. There's the American, and there's the
Abu Dhabi
queen. Yeah. It's basically the shade of the NHS, but you know, it's a story for another day.
Bring us in. Finish up your story.
Okay, yeah. So I got into medical school finally. The last hurdle actually was when you apply for medical school, you have to do an aptitude test, And the aptitude test that I did was called the UK CAT. And this was actually my third attempt of the UK CAT. So really, you would assume that after doing it twice, you would get better, right? So just like the driving test, I didn't tell anybody. I just told me and my maker. I told God, and I prayed and I fasted. And I did it. And it was the worst I'd ever done. Oh I could not believe it. I literally called my mum from the place. I was crying. She's like, why are you crying? I just did my UK CAT. She goes, why didn't you tell me? The Spirit of God was telling me you had doing an exam and you haven't told me. I was like, yeah, that same Spirit didn't make you text me, did it? But anyway, she was, I was crying and I was devastated. And, I've said so many times, God has used so many people along my journey, so many of my friends. And I was living with my friend Alex at the time. And I hadn't told her. I left the house. I hadn't told her I was doing this exam. And I came home and I was devastated. I said, Alex, I've just done my UK CAT and I've flopped. Like, I can't even apply to so many universities. So I've been working so hard for the degree, thinking all I need to do is get all I need is minimum 2-1, which I'll definitely get. And I'm in. So I was like, what? But I had prayed. I did a dry fast. I did not eat for 3 days. That was the first time. I thought I was going to die. I did not eat for 3 days, but I prayed, and I prayed a prayer, and that's this thing about intentional prayers and specific prayers. I said, God, if you do not want me to become a doctor, close the door and don't allow me to open it. That's how deep it is, because the reality is that if you're not doing what you're purposed to do in life, you will never be happy. So I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and Alex sat on my bed. This is somebody that I hadn't told, I hadn't told her anything, but she sat on my bed and she was Googling away. I remember lying under my covers, just thinking, Jesus, Lord have mercy, I'm going to have to go to Prague or something. Like, I was thinking...
random fact, did you know they do surgery in all white in Prague and sandals?
What?
Yeah, that's a random aside.
This is why I did not want to go, honey. And I knew that, look, at this point, my mom was going to send me to Europe. So I was like, Lord, please.
Typical Brits, want nothing to do with Europe. Kidding.
I did a Dexit. I was not going. So we look for universities, and we find about 3 or 4 that I can just about get into. So my personal statement, I have to admit, was lit. It was perfect, but you needed your UK CAT. So I applied with faith. And I applied to one called Hull York Medical School, right? Again, this comes back... Honestly, my life is actually a testimony. So I have always said that I will never go to university that is not a Russell Group university.
I don't know what that means.
So Russell Group are the top 20, maybe 22 now, universities in the country in terms of scientific research. So I guess it's the BTEC version of Ivy League. Okay. But it's our Ivy Leagues and we respect it. So Russell Group University, there are 20. So that's Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, UCL, Liverpool, Sheffield, Manchester, Edinburgh.
A bunch of different places.
But yeah, Birmingham. So really good universities. So I said, I'll never, it doesn't matter, I'm never not going to Russell University. I've always said that. So Hull York. Number one, when I call my mum and say, oh, Hull York, she goes, what is Hull? Not even where is it? She's like, what is Hull? She was, she's, my mum's head, all her children are going to Cambridge. So she was just like, oh, what is Hull? She was just like, oh. My dad has the understanding that it doesn't matter what medical school you go to, just go to medical school. Yeah. But my mum is like, no, I groomed you up for Cambridge and Oxford. Maybe UCL. Maybe Imperial. But I groomed you all for Oxford and Cambridge. She would be fist pumping if she hears this. She's like, yes, and I'm expecting one of you to do a master's there still. Like, she's still waiting for somebody to say they're doing a master's there. So, I applied anyway. And I'll never forget the day I got that interview. And I know that at that point they had a 10-point scale for UK CAT, and I knew that mine was 1. I got 1 out of 10. So therefore... They basically gave me an interview based on my personal statement. So that was just God. So then I get in. I have my interview, and it's an amazing interview. It's at York. So then Hull York is 2 universities. Hull and York. York is the one that everybody wants to go to. It's the nice, it's the old-fashioned one. It's the more prestigious one. Hull, no comment. The campus is amazing, beautiful, but Hull, no comment. The city, no comment. But God has a way of doing things. So, gets to the point where now they allocate us. Where do I end up in?
Hull.
Hull, of course. Hull, of course. End up in Hull. I call them. I'm like, can you change it? Like, no, your computer did that. And then, well, tell your computer to undo it. They weren't having it, so I ended up going to Hull. Now, going back to what I just said about, I said I'm never not going to Russell Group University. That year that I got in, University of York was given a Russell Group status. And I could not believe it. I remember that email that I got. I didn't even enter the university, that University of York has now received a Russell Group status. And that's when I said the power of the tongue. The power of the tongue. So one of my universities had a Russell Group status. So I was still in the vision I declared for myself that I would always go to a Russell Group University. So I go to medical school and here I am. So I go to medical school and to be honest, God wanted me to be in Hull. I'm trying to find a time in my life where I've been used so much by God in my life. My church was amazing. I learned so much. And again, I made some amazing lifetime friends. I've been through one of the most difficult times in my life in the last 2 years. And some of my friends from Hull, what they have done for me and the kind of support they have been to me, my pastor and his wife, my friends from there, these are kind of friends that I'll have a birthday dinner and they'll drive 4 hours to come for the birthday dinner. Like, these are amazing people, and what God used them for me. I was able to make an investment there. I was able to learn how to, always, sometimes you've got to be uncomfortable to find yourself, and you can't always get what you want. So I learned so much there. I learned how to, at one point I used to like going back there because it was my own city. I can walk down one road. I know everywhere is. I know my town. It's simple. There's no place to waste your money. To do. My life was literally go to church, come back, go to library, go to my friend's house, go to church, come back, on repeat for 5 years. But my spirit was being fed. A bank account wasn't being drained, and I came out with my degree.
Hello.
So and then here we are, and then I was able to graduate and now working as a doctor. And do I regret it? Absolutely not. People always ask me, what was your plan B? I said my plan B was medicine.
Period.
What's my plan A? Medicine. Because I have always said, when there's no vision, of people perish. If you're walking in purpose, even when it's difficult, even when they're paying you per hour, you know that you're walking in your vision. When you're learning all the time, you're seeing your patients and you're there in the most difficult, sometimes I see some F1s because I was a bit older, obviously.
And an F1
is a foundation year one doctor. So
which is a first year medical doctor.
Yeah. So in other countries, they tend to call them house officers. So I know back home in Nigeria, they call them house officers. So it's your first year as a house officer. And I see some of these people have graduated at 24 and they're dealing with issues that 50-year-olds are not dealing with. Mm-hmm. So they're dealing with death. They're dealing with family discussions. They're dealing with real mortality. Mm-hmm. And I really have respect for them. I mean, I came into medicine when I was about 27. But, you're having 23-year-olds who their mums still do their washing for them, telling somebody that, you're not making it till tomorrow. No, but it's a big jump. So medicine really...
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. Because that's so real, and I actually didn't really think about it, but it's definitely
These
true.
are boys that their mom still sends them food packages.
Yeah.
Yet they're the ones doing end of life conversations.
Yeah.
That's deep.
It is.
Or the young ladies, who.
Sorry, I am mind blown by those combination of facts, because that is every boy I went to medical school with.
Honestly, but then when you see them
so true,
and you
can be so mature in one aspect of your life and so immature in another aspect.
And medicine pushes you there. It can be your first day and you're at cardiac arrest, and they're telling you can't even remember how deep the chest compression should be, but they're like, you next jump, and you just see some of the funkiest chest compressions, but he's got to do it. You've got to take that blood gas, even though you only did one at medical school. Right. So medicine pushes you. Like I said, I went through a really big change in my life, and people ask, you say you're so strong. I said, I'm in a job that builds resilience. I remember the third paragraph of my personal statement was that I am ready to deal with the emotional maturity that medicine requires. Yes, there are times that you're feeling a bit drained, you're feeling, okay, this is a bit overwhelming, but it builds resilience. And the purpose in it, the people that I meet, people I'm able to encourage, the people that are not even in medicine that see me as a source of encouragement, that is part of my purpose. And I know that my life is not just for me. So I see that as a purpose. I have 2 siblings who study medicine. That for me is a purpose. I'm leading, and even at work, you're working in a team. Like I always say to people, I say, if you want to know how to deal with people, go and work in a team. If you're always working by yourself, you cannot know how to deal with people. And medicine, you'll meet every type
literally
of person. In your consultants, in your registrars, in the nurses, hallelujah, they will test your patients. In so many different types, and it helps you, it helps your relationships even outside of medicine. So am I in my purpose? Do I regret it? Absolutely no way. Do I regret my journey? Absolutely no way. Because God humbled me by force. I was so used to getting all my grades. Oh yes, come on, And now I had to rely on God. Like I told you, I had to fast. I had to depend on God. That if this is my purpose, then do it for me. And he did. And he did it in a way that he allowed me to grow spiritually, mentally, in so many different ways. So yeah, I loved my journey, and I'm really happy that my journey has encouraged so many other people, and hopefully will continue to do so. So yeah, that's my story.
We love it. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Absolute snaps for that.
Very good. I hope you all enjoyed hearing a bit about Dot's journey into medicine. Throughout this season, you'll hear the story of Mahnor, myself, and a few others. Everyone has such an interesting and unique path into medicine, and I firmly believe it greatly influences not only how we practice medicine, but our interactions with our colleagues, our patients, and so many other staff members. I hope you're enjoying the season so far. I hope that you've been thinking about what it is we've been talking about. There are many take-home lessons. Let us know your thoughts on Twitter at Delirium Shift. I said it wrong last time. And on Instagram at Night Shift Delirium. See you at our next shift.